It's your boy Online Davo, and we back with another video. Look, we got a video about Blackie Speaks. The street image obsession is slowly dying. Now we know the street's been dead since forever, but let's get into it and see what we're talking about. Come on.
I'ma say this. The streets are dead. People gonna snitch. People gonna die. People gonna end up in jail. Let's just do some real stuff. Learn day trading. Learn how to be in construction and build for real.
We got all these youngsters claiming streets, claiming blocks, claiming colors, claiming sets, but nobody claiming morals. Nobody claiming honor. Nobody claiming pride. Nobody claiming wisdom. We need the streets turn into a bunch of lost souls pulling triggers without thinking.
And I keep hearing like a lot of people saying that the streets are dead, but if you ask me, I don't think it's that the streets are dead because violence still exists. I think the obsession with the streets are dead. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, people are just tired of all the destruction that it causes. I'll be completely honest with you. I don't even know how people can be so reckless with their freedom. I don't get it. But at the same time, I'm just happy that people are getting sick of the obsession. I'm just happy that people are like...
That's because they don't have anything to value on the outside. You know, yeah, okay, they may have a roof over their head, but they may be living in the trenches, all right? Or anything that's outside, they don't value as much as their street cred, as the vengeance they have for the next person, or the status that comes with it. They don't value that as much. They're willing to risk that. They're willing to go to prison, willing to go to jail because it's that important to them. You know, some people have purposes in life, you know, and to most of these people, most of these young men, their purpose is their block. This is my shit. This is my block. This is why, you know what I'm saying, I was born. My whole family, this is my whole family. This is all I know. This is all we know. Pops was doing the same thing. Fuck it, I'm just like him. That's the type of mindset a lot of these young men be having, you know?
People are just waking up, bro. Now, if you've been paying attention to social media the last few years, especially since the pandemic, you've probably noticed a shift. The street image doesn't hit the same way it used to. Not because violence disappeared, but because people are exhausted by the damage it's caused in real life. Everything feels louder, more reckless, and harder to defend. So even though the violence is still there, the obsession behind it is slowly starting to die out. Now, for most people, the street lifestyle isn't something they actually lived. It's something they were first introduced to through media, movies, rap videos, documentaries. After the rise of NWA in the late 80s, what started as raw storytelling from places like Compton and South Central LA slowly turned into something else. The birth of gangsta rap. As that sound grew, major corporations stepped in, the streets got commodified, and the hood turned into something you could package and sell. A genre that was originally created to amplify black voices eventually became a product in a much bigger business game. But underneath all that, the truth was always...
Hey, it's a 2-for-1. These corporations are 2-for-1. Fuck it. We can make some money off them, and they're going to also help push an agenda that we not even doing ourselves. We just funding it. Fuck it. Hey, where did I sign the papers at? Come on, let me sign you, local rapper. Let me sign you, local. Hey, keep making those hits, dissing those people. Keep doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where the money comes in. And then once people start seeing there's money in it, regular, everyday people, they're going to start trying to live that street life, knowing they're not built for that. Knowing they're not built to go to jail for 10 years, just off the strength of not saying anything. They know they're not built for that. But the money in it, it feels better than working at 9 to 5. It feels better than clocking in at McDonald's. It feels better than clocking in at security. It feels better than clocking in the office because you got all this freedom, but really every day you're risking it. So
simple. This started with inner city kids rapping about what they're seeing every single day, whether it was violence, poverty, drugs, survival. Those stories resonated and they eventually took off. The same neighborhoods that were once feared suddenly became marketable to the mainstream. And by the time we reach 2025, the glorification of street culture isn't subtle anymore. You can feel its impact everywhere. Entire subcultures in hip-hop, especially drill, took that glorification to a whole new level. Rappers like King Von became the face of a darker...
Wait, what he just do with his fingers?
Especially drill took that glorification to a whole new level.
Crazy.
Rappers like King Von became the face of a darker, more dangerous era. And the consequences of that are still being felt in communities today. But here's the part that matters the most. Street culture didn't disappear. It entered a new stage. When social media fully took over, the entire dynamic changed. People weren't just listening to the streets anymore. They were scrolling through them. Fights, robberies, shootouts, beefs. All of this has been documented in front of millions and millions of people. And during the pandemic, when the world shut down and everyone was stuck inside, that visibility hit a whole new level. Drama replaced music. clicks replaced consequences, and real lives paid the price. And that set the stage for
I mean, yeah, that's facts. Real lives have always been paying the price though, right? The thing is, the music is a byproduct of the environment. I don't think the environment is a byproduct of the music. You get what I'm saying? Like, you see someone out there, get shot, you go on a track and you rap about that person, you rap about seeing someone get shot while you're 12 years old, 13 years old. That's the life you lived, but some people just view that as like, oh my God, that shit sound fire. But it's like, no, he actually saw someone get shot in real life, but he's desensitized, and this is his way to express that, And of course, there's some people whose main goal is to really just cause havoc, and they're not even doing it for the money. They're probably just doing it like, yo, fuck the ops, da 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 da. They doing shit like that just off of fuck it, YOLO. But there definitely are some people who have talent, who have musical talent, and their way to express that is through gangster rap, So it's kind of fucked.
very key figure in this entire conversation, King Von.
One of Satan's greatest soldiers was King Von.
That's crazy.
The late Chicago rapper King Von wasn't just another street rapper. He became the real-life embodiment of everything the internet glorified, not just through his music, but through how his life played out online. And the internet showed just how deep that influence went. Some of you guys might remember that clip of that young boy saying he was inspired by King Von to chase his teacher with scissors. And that right there just really shows you how far the reach went. A lot of these kids weren't just listening to his music. They were internalizing the persona.
True.
And another moment that really puts this entire conversation into perspective is that IG Live. For anyone who hasn't seen it, right? It's an IG Live where King Von pulled up to the hood with Chicago rapper Lil Reese, and there's this little kid standing around him, right? And out of nowhere, he points a water gun straight at Lil Reese's head, and then Von laughs and says,
Don't shoot him in his...
when you really let this clip sink in, there is so much dysfunctional street conditioning baked into these few seconds right here.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
when you look at it, the kid wasn't trying to be funny. He was doing what he sees in his world. He didn't understand the weight behind that gesture. Because in his environment,
Exactly.
it feels normal, except people don't do it with water guns. They do it with real ones. And that's something
real
that
life.
people always overlook. Kids don't imitate rappers. They imitate the environment that shaped the rappers. And once the internet started amplifying that environment, the
That's what I'm
so-called
saying. Motherfuckers always be like, oh, black culture promotes gang violence. It's like, no. Y'all associate that with us. We don't promote it. Y'all associate that with us. And this is how these people express themselves. Could they express themselves in a different way? Sure. But what do you expect from someone who willingly goes into that lifestyle and chooses to do those type of things? What do you expect from that type of person when it comes to how they express themselves? You get what I'm saying? Like, y'all niggas expect super ultra emotionally stable men who are also in gangs and shoot niggas and rob niggas. Like, come on now. There's probably something out there, but that's the exception, bruh. Like, be real. They do this for a certain reason. They obviously have some internal shit going on, and this is how they wish to live their life.
a street image took on a life of its own. And that's where King Von became a symbol not just for the music, but for the persona the internet latched onto. To a lot of people online, he wasn't treated like an artist, okay? He was basically a real-life version of the street image they already believed in. Content creators even portrayed him like a villain straight out of a crime documentary. People praised the realism, and, Von, for what it's worth, he had the music to back it up. But here's the truth about King Von, right? He was a street dude who happened to become a rapper, not a rapper who became a street dude. And that distinction matters because when the lifestyle comes first, the music isn't the cause, it's the evidence. It doesn't create the violence, it records it. And the thing about Von is that he spoke directly to those inner city kids who were already wrestling with the streets around them. Von was the voice they recognized because he lived what he rapped. But like we all know, his story ended during the height of the pandemic
26.
after an altercation that turned deadly. However, even in Von's short time on Earth, he became someone with massive influence, and that influence would go on to shape how the youth viewed street culture and what it really means to live that type of life. But the truth is, Von wasn't the only example of how deep this glorification.
Yeah, they thought they could just go around living the same type of life. Von is 1 in a million. You know what I'm saying? 1% King Von was when it comes to everything he went through in his life, to getting out, to getting rich and famous. That was like a 1%. You feel me? So but there's people that see themselves within him, so they feel like they can achieve that also. Damn, man. Damn.
Went. Over the years, there were a bunch of moments, big and small, that showed just how far the culture had drifted from reality. Moments that made people kind of take a step back and say, wait a second, how are we still celebrating this? Now, one of the clearest examples of that is a story I covered years ago, the case of Philadelphia rapper Pop Hunna. Now, Pop Hunna is a rapper out of Philly, and a few years ago, he had real momentum. He was picking up steam in the rap world, his music was going viral on TikTok, he had a few big cosigns, and a few big records, and he looked like he was next up. But almost overnight, his career collapsed, and you may wonder why. Well, this is why that happened. He helped solve a crime. Back in 2015, when Pop Hunna was just 14 years old, he witnessed the murder of another 14-year-old boy. His name was Duval DeShields, and he did what any scared kid would do. He cooperated with the police. He tried to do the right thing, never imagining that decision would come back to haunt him. Fast forward to 2020 during the height of the pandemic, and Pop Hunna is blowing up, and a few of his songs are going viral, and he also got a co-sign in collaboration with Lil Uzi Vert. His entire life was basically changing.
That's crazy, huh? That's crazy. You try to help you try to help the community out. You a civilian at that point in your life, you know what I'm saying? You try to help the community out, and it's damn, it come back to bite you in the ass. That shit crazy.
At this point, and then documents leaked of his cooperation with the police. Suddenly, the entire rap industry labeled him a snitch. Rappers distanced themselves. People clowned him online like he betrayed the industry.
I did a bid at 14. No excuses, bad work. Bro, man, you cannot take some people serious, bro.
Labeled him a snitch. Rappers distanced themselves. People clowned him online like he betrayed the streets. Even artists he worked with, like Lil Uzi Vert himself, completely ghosted him. Like he just stopped responding to him.
I
and
remember
he acted
that.
like he never really even knew him in the first place. And keep in mind, he didn't do anything morally wrong. He was just a witness in a homicide case where another child lost their life. And still, he got blackballed from the rap game forever. I'll never forget the story because it exposed something a lot of us have known about.
Damn, that dude kind of ring the bell, too. But I tell you something, bro. Some of these niggas' favorite rappers be snitches. But, hey, you a new up-and-comer. You got paperwork. Can't do work with you, bro. Sorry. Even though my best mans in the rap game been riding on niggas for the last 10 years. Man, these people aren't there mentally. You feel me?
The so-called street code. Street culture does not care about what's right. It cares about maintaining the image. And when people started seeing how backwards it really is, you know, how doing the right thing can get you exiled, that's when a big part of the obsession started dying. And it's not only rappers who got punished by this mentality. Going all the way back to the late 80s, this mindset was already destroying lives. And by the early 90s, it led to one of the most disturbing stories in Chicago history. And it starts with an 11-year-old boy named Robert Yummy Sandifer, nicknamed Yummy because he loved cookies. Before he ever had a real childhood, he was recruited into the Black Disciples, a Chicago street gang that had been around since the late 1960s. Now, one day the gang handed him a gun and told him to shoot at a rival, a so-called test of loyalty. But when Yummy fired into a crowd, he accidentally killed a 14-year-old girl named Siobhan Dean. Now, what happened after that is that the police were looking.
11 years old, bro. 11 years old. Like, damn, like, picture an 11-year-old right now, bro. Going, giving that person a gun, tell him to go shoot that crowd. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. It happens more than you think, though. It starts young, bro. They catch you young. They catch you young while you're outside playing with your friends. They give you a little bit of money to go to the store, to grab you something. They build that trust. I'm telling you, bro, these people really be grooming these young men and these young women, to be honest. But they groom them in different ways for different reasons. You know, it's a fucked up system, bro. It's a cycle. That's why I say it's a cycle. That's why I say it's generational trauma. You know, it starts with one person. If that one person can't break through that cycle to stop it progressing, it's gonna hit the kids. It's gonna hit the grandkids. Like, it's a cycle, man.
For him. And Yummy, because he was a little boy, right? He got scared and he tried to turn himself in, or he was actually about to turn himself in. And that's when the gang looked at him and said, this kid is gonna be a problem. And that's when two teenage gang members took Yummy under a bridge, told him that everything would be okay, and shot him in the back of the head. 11 years old, killed by the same culture, who convinced him that this was the only way to belong. And that's the truth about the streets. They don't mentor kids, they recruit them. They don't protect kids, they sacrifice them, all for a reputation that was never real in the first place. And here's the thing, stories like this didn't just expose the truth anymore, right? After a while, they stopped feeling shocking and started feeling familiar. Same outcomes, same funerals, same wasted potential. And when you grow up watching the same endings,
Just a different name. Just a different name. And then you hear stories about it at the table. You know what I'm saying? Did you hear who got shot? Damn, what? Who shot them? I heard they did this. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. If you grow up in that environment, bro, you gotta have people around you that value your development more than their future. If you get what I'm saying, like they gotta have that sacrifice, especially their parents. They gotta be able to sacrifice for you, take those risks. You know what I'm saying? If they gotta drive an extra 30 minutes to get you to a different school, then they're gonna do what they gotta do. If that's if they're able to do that, you know. And it's like, it's a whole system, bro. It's a whole system. You got parents that work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. They can't be there to teach their kids anything because they're working all day. They don't get paid enough, you know. And then your kids home after school. They're not doing anything. They're able to go outside, do whatever they want to do. They get caught up in the neighborhood friend group. You know what I'm saying? And as you know, as time goes on, as you get older, people start to move away. People move to different sides of towns. They start joining gangs. If there's a prominent gang in that area, it's a whole thing. Next you know it, 10 years later, you beefing with someone you used to share the tub with, my nigga. Straight up, you beefing with someone you used to play the game with every night. You know, it get like that, bro. And it's like, damn, like, it's crazy seeing people value a street over their own life. You know? Dying for a street that they don't own anything on. But they convince themselves that this is all I know. This is all me. Like, it's crazy.
play out over and over again, at some point, it stops feeling aspirational and it starts feeling exhausting. That's why you're seeing something change. Even people who once fell for the image are starting to realize there's nothing powerful about throwing your life away for the streets and the image that comes with it. But this is where things get more complicated because not everyone who ends up in the streets is there for the same reason. Yes, for some people, for a lot of people, it really is survival, limited options, real economic pressure. Growing up feeling like the world was already stacked against you. And when someone lives in that headspace, when it feels like you don't have much to lose, that's when you start seeing what people call crashing out. Crashing out is when someone moves off pure ego or emotion with zero thought about what comes next. Essentially, they make a very...
You see, they changed the meaning of crash out. They feel like they make it sound like a crash out is an inconvenience. No. The way I know crash out, how I grew up, a crash out is the nigga going to jail for the rest of his life. Or he going to jail for 5, 10 years just because he got in his feelings about something. That's the crash outs I know. But they say any minor inconvenience is a crash out. Oh, damn, I spilled my noodles. I'm about to crash out. I get it. You trying to say it in a joking way, but like everything, you know, some terms, words, saying, slang, it starts out a certain way and they water it down and it doesn't have as much of an impact as it used to have, you know?
Irrational decision and throw their entire life away. But here's the part that a lot of people don't really like talking about. When it comes to the majority of these cases that we're seeing now of a lot of these young kids crashing out, it's not survival driving their behavior. It's something else. There's another group, a huge group that barely gets mentioned. Kids who actually come from decent homes, parents who care, food in the fridge, a bed to sleep in. They're not running from hunger. They're not running from danger. They're running from being a nobody. And this is what the majority of these crash out cases looks like now. It's a bunch of young lost souls ready to crash out over something minuscule, trying to find themselves through killing another person, because that's the only time they feel a sense of worth. When you feel invisible in every part of your life, the streets promise something fast: status, fear-based respect, and identity. So a lot of these kids aren't choosing the streets because they have to.
Shit, it may even get you girls too, depending on how you look. There's women out there who only date street dudes. All right, I'd be lying if I said there isn't. So you might get a woman too if you look good enough. So it's like everything's, it gets that instant gratification. It's just instant gratification, you know? It's hard to be a street dude with when you practice delayed gratification, bro. Because what are you delaying, nigga? Death? Like, come on. You get it? Like, so it's, man, it's crazy. I get lost for words sometimes because it's like, you know, coming from the environment I came from and also knowing people that got caught up in the street life and also knowing people who, you know what I'm saying, ain't here no more because of street life. It's just like, damn, bro, it's really It's a fucked up system. It's a cycle, man. Some people really are born into a situation in which it's tough. Like, it's tough. Like, yeah, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but nigga, I don't got no boots. All right, my mama don't got no boots. My dad don't got no boots. You know what I'm saying? I didn't choose to get born to people who wasn't there or who wasn't ready financially, but it is what it is. And now it's like I gotta make the best of my decision, but the people I'm being taught by don't have my best interests at heart. You know, they have their best interests. They have their ulterior motives for what my life is gonna be. It's crazy.
They're choosing it because they want to be seen. And that's why this new generation of young criminals are especially dangerous. A lot of these young kids are so overstimulated that they don't even have the capacity to think beyond the few seconds it takes to take another person's life. So the obsession with the street image has shifted into something even emptier, chasing validation instead of escaping poverty. But there's another huge part of this, the illusion. One of the biggest stories this year exposed that perfectly. Young Thug, a rapper who built his entire career on the image of being powerful, respected, and deeply connected to the streets. He spent over 900 days in jail, hit with a massive RICO case, and was praised for standing on the so-called street principle, especially while distancing himself from Gunna for allegedly breaking them. Then came a very big story, which was the leaked interrogation audio. Clips that appeared to show Young Thug cooperating, name-dropping, talking to detectives, saying he'd talk as long as the world never found out. Long story short, Young Thug, the guy who people pointed to as real street rap, had to fight hard just to protect his image. And that's when a lot of people checked.
Bro was in there yapping. And then he go around trying to cook Gunna because Gunna did what he did. Shit, y'all the same in my eyes. Fuck it. Y'all both wear or neither y'all wear the jacket. How about that? It's that simple. But you know, like I said, pride and ego. It's good when I do it, but it's bad when you do it. That's also one of the things why I couldn't join no gang. It was like, bro, there's hella hypocrisy in this shit. Like, nah, bro. Plus, I'm not finna be looking up to no other nigga telling me what to do. Nigga, you not my dad, you not my mom. Nigga, I barely know you. You just a neighbor. Like, nah.
Doubt. Because to most people now, it doesn't look powerful. It doesn't look solid. The streets look sloppy. It looks insecure. And once you see that, the question simply becomes, what does being in the street actually contribute to the world?
Right.
I mean, let's talk about it. You end up broke, you lose your freedom, you cut your life short. And here's the thing, which is something a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people in this younger generation, and I'm talking about, you know, people like us, I'm not talking about the crash outs, we want better for ourselves. And that's not because we're soft, but because we've seen what this mindset does to so many communities. And here's the thing, at some point, you gotta call a spade a spade. The streets are lame. I mean, think about it. You're willingly putting yourself in a position where another man controls your freedom, your schedule, your future, your life, and your booty. I mean, is it really worth losing your...
Hey, man. And he ain't lying, bro. The streets been dead. The streets been dead, man. Niggas been snitching for forever. These rappers aren't the first ones to be telling on their homies, okay? There's the dude down the street who told on his homies so he get less time on his bed, man. It's been happening forever, but there's people that still go to it because they still believe it or they still think that's all they can amount to, of being the biggest street dude in this section of the city or in this section of whatever. You know, plus also with the social media aspect, you know, some people be having followings just based off being a street dude. They're not even a rapper. They're just known for being a street dude and they have 10, 20K followers. It's crazy.
Your freedom and your future just to earn the respect of other men who would turn on you the second those football numbers get thrown on the table? I don't really think so.
What?
Also, let's just talk about the fact that people are exhausted. If you grew up in a neighborhood that, let's say, had a bunch of gang activity, or if you're connected to that through, let's say, family or friends, you've seen what it does. You've seen the funerals. You've seen the trauma. The same cycle repeating itself over and over again. And over.
You see the shootings. You see the robberies. You hear the stories. You get desensitized. You see, you know what I'm saying, someone's here today, they gone the next day from somebody else's hands. That shit stay with you. It desensitizes you to this shit, man. You know? And that's stuff that people don't speak on. They should be spoke on more, you know, of just coming from like the average person living in that situation, you know? That shit stay with you.
Time normalizing violence doesn't just hurt people, it kills entire communities out. You start seeing food deserts, businesses pulling out, resources disappearing because they don't want to keep losing money in places where chaos is normal. And that's another illusion people are waking up from. Let's not forget that the street image is built on an undisciplined structure. Here's the harsh reality about people who glorify the streets and glorify this lifestyle and actually entertain it. They're going to wake up later in life realizing they chased an image that gave them nothing back. You don't want to be broke, dusty, and have a bunch of charges to your name at the age of 40, wondering what went wrong while the rest of the world moved on. So the question is, what is actually considered cool now?
And I'm telling you, man, usually the ones I spoke to, they regret it. They usually regret it. They'll tell you, man, this shit dead. Niggas snitching, niggas telling this ain't what it used to be. Oh, man.
Being responsible, getting money legally, not having to look over your shoulder every single day. Something else that's quietly killing the obsession is positive representation. For a long time, the streets were the only version of success a lot of kids ever saw, especially a lot of minority kids who grew up around pressure, instability, and didn't really have a lot of options around them. However, now in 2025, that has completely changed. As an example, let's take a look at someone like Kai Cenat. He built $1 million empire off of doing something fun, not violent, not criminal, not destructive. And that,
I mean, shit, I'd rather son be a streamer than a gangbanger. That's an easy choice. That's an easy option right there. Fuck it. Stay inside and do your streaming, youngin. Do your thing.
is very important, and that matters. Because when kids see someone who looks like them winning without chaos, without destruction, without throwing their life away, it expands their mind into understanding what's possible for them. Once other paths to success become visible, the other path doesn't look all that appealing. If you look around today, a lot of young people want to do social media. They want to become entrepreneurs. They want to do content creation, or actually something stable like getting a CDL or learning a skill, starting a small business, building something they can actually live off. They want a future, not a funeral. And as long as we keep exposing the truth, as long as we remind people what the streets really take from you, fewer kids are going to feel the need to prove themselves through destruction. I do also want to emphasize that now more than ever, a lot of young black men are choosing peace. A lot of young black men are saying, I'm not going to be in the streets, because they've seen what it's done to the people that they love. They're choosing purpose. They're choosing a legacy, because at the end of the day, real strength is building an actual life, not a life in the streets, because that lifestyle always comes with an expiration date. And that's why I believe the street image obsession is slowly dying. But hey, what do I know? You tell me.
Quality video Blackie speaks. Yeah, nah, he touched on damn near every point. Shit, he touched on every point. Good quality video, bro. Like I said, the streets is dead. I feel like the only thing he probably didn't mention was also the consumer aspect of it. People, I think he did mention that actually. I may just be yapping. But quality video, you did your thing. Hey, leave the streets alone before they leave you where you stand. I'm gone. Peace.